Welcome to the Two Wealth Show, a show that shares how you can create real wealth for you and your family. I'm one of your hosts, Justin Bogard, and my co-host is Elizabeth Sickles, aka Super E. I am a real estate note investor, specializing in performing residential real estate debt. I find the deals, acquire them for my own portfolio, as well as educate investors while walking them through the process of owning a real estate note. My co-host Super E, a real estate investor, specializing in short-term rentals and the management of them. She connects investors with short-term tenants and manages everything in between. Our show is sponsored by BrightPath Notes and Elizabeth Maora. You can find out more information by visiting our websites at brightpathnotes.com and elizabethmaora.com. Welcome to Season 3, Episode number 16. My dear, close personal friend, Miss Elizabeth Sickles, aka Super E. How are you today?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you?
Doing pretty good. It's warm outside. The sun is out, so I can't complain too much. If I could, who's going to listen to me?
That's right.
Yeah.
And we have a really awesome show that we're so happy to share with you today. She is a friend of mine, and so do we want to go ahead and bring her on, and I will give an intro to our very special guest, which is Susan Yoder out of Oklahoma. I've known Susan for 5 years. We met in January in LA at the Rich Dad, Poor Dad, our first real estate training together. And Susan has had a really incredible journey. She is knocking it out of the park without a few knocks along the way. So this is real time. So Susan, welcome to our show.
Thank you so much. I'm so honored to be here. Super
You're
excited.
Do you want... Absolutely. So you were already a realtor whenever you started taking the classes.
Yes, I had been a realtor for probably about 10 years already.
Okay.
And so I was just wanting to get more into I was wanting to get more into the investing side of it. And I have been reading the Rich Dad, Poor Dad book. And then I just kind of went into that whole training. And I love the networking that happens at those events. And so it's a great way to grow and learn and take your training while you're also vacation.
Absolutely. So you've got to do a lot in real estate just in these last 5 years with investing. So can you share with our listeners kind of your journey and what you're doing now, because it's so cool. I love it because Susan is a constant learner, and just the importance of that and how it's grown your business.
Yes. So let's say 5 years ago, I had everybody, thinks they're going to buy this first house and they're going to rehab it and they're going to redo it. And it's going to be, the rest is history. So I got really brave and I did the first thing, using somebody else's money. I found these clients and I trusted them. They trusted me. I approached them and I said, hey, this is what I would like to do. I'd like to, use your money. I will rehab the house. We'll redo it. I've already bought one that I bought directly from the bank. It was a great house to rent and manage and everything. So I did that one. So they said, sure, we like your energy. We like your, teachability, and we will work with you. And so we did. And so that one went really well for a while. And then if you don't get your proper contractors in line, or they all of a sudden just go out, and sometimes it's not your fault. Sometimes it's beyond your control, but you have to deal with it. So the reality of the fact is I ended up having to finish this house by myself, and it just went from, it strung out way longer than, probably 6 months longer than what it was supposed to, cost me more money. You never anticipate going to your investor saying, hey, this is happening. And I don't have your money right now. I know we were on target. We were this and this and this, but this is what happened. And then the fact that you have to admit your mistakes, you have to say, you know what, this is my responsibility. I will correct this. Are you going to be willing to work with me on this? I'll see through it. Make a long story short, I probably broke even on the house, but I did finish it, did get it sold. I did get my investor paid off. We are still, I don't like to say we still work together, but I would not hesitate to call him anytime for advice. In fact, I have called him for advice or, business deals and stuff like that. But that is what I learned the most is, who we contract with or subcontract with is huge, but communication and admitting your faults and mistakes and all of that. And that was 5 years ago. So then we turn all of that around. I had bought another house, sold it, made good money on it. All the time I'm just doing traditional real estate on, that's my day job, my real work. And it was going okay. Nothing spectacular, but it was going okay. And I was living, that was my main job. So then I got another house and sold it. And on that house, the buyers that wanted it didn't get it and someone else bought it. Well, they thought that since I was a real estate agent or broker, that I was not allowed to have that house. So they thought I had bought it at auction, which it was never at auction. Make a long story short, they sued me.
Huh.
And I had to go and yes, nobody likes to get sued. And I was terrified. Oh my gosh. I had never been sued before in my life. And they were going for an atrocious amount. And I'm like, this is insane. This is just ridiculous. Anyway, I had some really good contacts. It lasted probably 3 years, the whole lawsuit. And it was one of those deals where there was no winning. You come in, this person comes in the courtroom and the other person comes in the courtroom. And they told me, the attorney's like, there's nothing you have done, but just because of the logistics and where everything is right now, you will not win this case. And if you can settle this thing for $15,000, you're better off settling it for $15,000 than spending $100,000 to fight it. And so at that point, the economy was not at its best. I was distracted with a whole bunch of other things going on in my life and fell behind on. And now I'm getting in my really gory story. I had my partner had bought me out I had owned part of a real estate brokerage at the time. My partner bought me out and I had been doing really well. I mean, it was not unusual for us to close 27 million together in a year. And so, I had very comfortable life. So bought me out and I was like, oh, what am I going to do? I've been a broker. I don't like babysitting people. I think I'm just going to go with another franchise and, decide what I want to do. Well, when you're used to being your own boss and then all of a sudden you have people telling you, you can't do this, you can't do that, and you need to do this and you need to do that. I did it for several years and it was okay, but it just really messed with me. Anyway, and when you're used to being on a team and all of a sudden you're one-on-one, you have to learn how to do everything again because you're not used to doing everything by yourself. You're used to delegating and doing it. Anyway, so I had the lawsuit going on and times were a little bit tough. You had to work a little bit harder. I was completely on my own. And I went from bad to worse. Everything was just going downhill. And I remember when I had just bought a house and I was like, I don't think I have enough money to, first of all, you're paying attorneys and all that to make your mortgage payment or your vehicle payment. And it was coming close to Christmas time. And I was, when you all of a sudden realize that things are not going well. So I got through that, made it, was limping along. Then I went to business, wealth, and relationship conference. At that point, I was so low. I was like, I actually had to call my brother and my mom. And I said, listen, I'd like to have $2,500. I want to get caught up on my truck payment and my house payment, and we've got Christmas. So they're like, okay, fine, we can do that. So, and in the meantime, I thought I have got to get this figured out. So I went to a business, wealth, and relationship coach, and there it was all about, when are we going to face our own problems? I am the only common factor in all of these situations. So obviously I can either fix it, or I can run away from it again, or I can do whatever. At that point, I had gone back and I was like, can I have another $2,500? I'm just, and they're like, no. My brother said no. He said, you got yourself into this, you can get yourself out. And I'm going to be honest, I was not happy. I was so, first of all, I was mad. And then because I was like, what the heck? And then I thought, you had better fix this out, figure this out, because it is not going away. And if you don't figure it out real fast, you're going to be on the street. Because at that point, I was probably about a month or maybe 2 behind on my house. So I decided, you know what? I'm going to practice my gratitudes. I'm going to get out there and I'm going to hustle and I'm going to work my butt off. I took responsibility for what I had. First of all, we are only as what you put out is what you could get back. And so, you cannot just be in it for yourself. You have to have a genuine interest in other people. You have to find out what their needs are, and then you meet their needs. And if you meet their needs, your needs will be met. If you help them, especially in the real estate world, if you help them sell their house, then your needs will be met because you're going to get a commission. And so I had to learn how to communicate with people, because we get money from people. And so if you don't have a good relationship with people, you're going to be broke. So right. Whether you like people or not, you better learn to communicate with them. And so I had to learn how to communicate with them. Yep. And whether I liked them or not. And the more I asked about them, I really started genuinely caring. Before it was just like, what is it in it for me? But it's not that anymore. It's like, I have to have the genuine interest in them. And for me, it was like asking them questions about them, their family, their life. What do you want? What do you need? And I literally put myself on a budget, and I called my bank and I said, listen, here's the deal. I am not able to do this or this or this, but I will do this if you will work with me. And they were just floored that I called and communicated. Whenever they would call me, I would answer the call. I'd say, this is what I've got going on. These are the deals I've got going. And then I just kept working really hard. I literally challenged myself to eat out of my pantry. You do not go to the grocery store and you do not buy anything if you have a pantry full of crap. And so you clean out your fridge, you clean out your freezer, and you clean out your pantry. And it doesn't matter if you like it or not. If it's food, it's food. And most of us are overweight anyway, so I just sucked it up. I canceled my subscription to the gym. I canceled my TV. I mean, I was bare bones. And I lived like that. And I still try to a little bit. Most, we are so wasteful. We Americans are so wasteful. And so I did that. I mean, I remember when one of the boys came home and they're like, Mom, there's no food in the fridge. I'm like, I know. I said, once we are faithful with a little, God will make us faithful with a lot. So I said, your room, you work in your room. When you've got your room taken care of and your truck, then maybe you'll be ready for the next one. And I apply that to my house. Everything. This is how I decided I'm going to do it. So anyway, then things, I was at least making it, and I prayed like crazy. I would tell God, you know what, I have got to have this, and he would bring a deal into my lap or a phone call. And it just, I credit so much of it to God, but also a lot of hard work. God gives us a brain to use, and we cannot expect him to just dump it in our lap without us having to do do anything. And we have got to learn new skill sets. So I had to learn new skill sets in the real estate world, because just like COVID here, I mean, how many of us have had to pivot and do so much stuff online where we have never done it before? So we have to keep learning new skill sets and meeting new people and all of that. So then I decided that I needed a real estate coach to make myself better. Actually, before that, Elizabeth came over and she stayed at my house. And I was so amazed by her. I remember the first time I sat beside her, I thought, okay, she is a corporate major person. And I mean, I could just tell she was amazing, and I was intimidated by her. Still am. Anyway.
I believe the term was executive goddess that is used for Elizabeth.
Yes. Yes, she is an executive goddess. Absolutely. And so we had a really good time when she was telling me all about her VRBO and Airbnb, short-term rental stuff that she was doing. And I wanted to do it. I did not have enough money to pay her for her, coaching. So she said, well, that's okay. You can just do it in installments and in increments. And so we did, and I took it on, and I just kind of struggled around that for about a year. In the meantime, I got a real estate coach to help me on that. And I couldn't even afford to pay them, but I would pay him for a month, and then I'd work. And as soon as I could make it again, I'd pay him for another month, and I'd work. Anyway, make a long story short, I did from there. I think I did about, I did 3 million in sales that 1 year by myself, which was not bad. I mean, that's not a bad life, but I knew the way I like to live, that's not going to cut it. So then the next year, and I had one VRBO house. Just one. And it was not fabulous. And then I went to 6 million, and I was pretty happy with that. I knew I still had a lot to do. Well, then last year at COVID, during the middle of the year, I was crunching my numbers. Something else I learned, if we don't track our numbers, we don't know where we're going. If we don't have a goal, we don't know where we're going. And if you want to, just like a guy, target practicing, if he wants to hit that target, he's got to know what he's shooting for. Mm-hmm. How many of us, and I had not done this before, I would never write down how much I want to sell in a year. How many closings do I want in a year? What do I want to do this month? How many listings do I want to have? So I've learned that if I write something down and I journal things, then I actually have something to hit. Before, you're just all over the place. It's just like a ship, going in circles. I never had a target. And so I think we are not taught that as much anymore. And we're just kind of thrown out in the world and said, go make it. And so for me, it was like, this is my business. This is my world. And it's either going to make me or break me. And so I'm not going to I get broken all the time, but I don't want to be broke anymore. And so I work really hard. But last year I started my own company, and now today I have a team of girls, and we have 6 VRBO Airbnb houses, and we are just knocking it out of the park. Last year, by myself, without anybody else, well, other than God's blessing and help, I did over 17 million. And this year, my goal is past that.
Wow.
And I become an auctioneer.
An auctioneer, okay. So now you're going to be the one rattling off all the fast words and stuff. Yes. I'm perfecting my chant, but I am going to be adding auctions to my real estate company. My youngest son is joining me, and to date we have our first auction contract. It hasn't happened yet, but we just signed the paperwork for our first auction, and it's a big one. That's awesome.
So it's exciting.
And I'm so proud of Susan because, you see everything when people finally make it, like you just see, oh, they're super successful. But that's not how it goes. We have
Mhm.
so many bumps and bruises and so much hard times along the way. And just the fact that, number one, she paid her bills, right? She made a deal with the bank. It's so important, I think, for people to take responsibility. And, just to your point on the numbers, it's huge, huge, huge to always know your numbers and running your numbers in real estate also before you do a deal. Very important.
If it does not make sense on paper, it is not going to make sense. I don't care how bad we want it. And too
That's right.
often, how many of us do that? We just think about it in our head and we're thinking, okay, but when we write it down, if the numbers aren't going to work, it's not going to work.
Right. You need to stay disciplined to your craft and not deviate from your exact numbers. So I love how you said that.
And just for our
Yes.
listeners and for our viewers, Verbo is vacation rental by owner. So Susan is also doing short-term rentals,
Yes.
and I'm
Sorry.
so excited for your success in it.
That for me, that's a huge success because I have a client that has now bought his second house, and it's a waterfront. We're going to be hosting a wedding there in October, but that house, we get $900 a night on that house. And I'm just like, I had no idea going into it, how it is, but it's a blast. It's so much fun.
Congratulations.
Yeah, Susan, you're a rock star.
Thank you.
I
Thank
love
you,
your
Elizabeth. That
story.
is all for you. Oh my gosh. And something else. So I'm just so full of it right now. So something else that I keep learning is, when I am out there, so often people we want to prove to somebody that we're really amazing and that, but one thing that I learned in my business, wealth, and relationship training is you weigh your ego with your bank account. You can have an ego, but most generally, you're not going to have a bank account. So if you want a bank account, you're not going to have an ego. So you better be humble and you better, we don't want to be doormats, but how many of us, don't leave our ego at the door when we go in to do a deal. We want to, so often the main thing about the real estate is you go in, they really don't care. And the one reason I started my own company is they could not tell me who I worked for. They could not tell me the name of the company I worked for. They didn't care. They just wanted me to sell their house. And so I thought, unless the company is really handing me a lot of deals and doing a lot of my marketing, why am I paying them what I'm already doing? And
Exactly.
and this was a very, very big company I was working for. And I just remember when I left, the rule of thumb was that the company gets to keep my listings. And I had some really good listings. And none of them wanted to stay with the company. They wanted to go with me. And my broker was like, he actually called every one of them. And he said, why would you want to go with Susan instead of me? He said, look at my company. Look at all my marketing and advertising and everything. And Susan is little and she has nothing. And they're like, we like Susan. Susan will get it done. And he thought I just had him tricked or whatever, but he made the comment. He said, everybody likes you. And I wanted to say, it's because it's about a relationship. That company, and I didn't realize it till after, I had people telling me they're in it for the money. They're not in it for the people. And so for me, going in, if I make it about them, that's the important part. They don't care. They don't care where I live. They don't care what I do. They don't care. They don't care anything about my life. People want to talk about themselves. And so all you have to do is open up the door and ask the right questions, and they tell you everything you need to know. So the key thing is asking questions and listening. And I'm still learning that, trust me. I'm not, I get a little excited sometimes, especially when you walk into a $2.5 million house and you feel floored and honored that they picked little me, this little Amish country girl. And now I get to be, after you interview and they pick you, I am so gracious. God has just blessed me so much. It is just crazy. Anyway, I'll stop blabbering.
Susan, so do you do most of your business there in Oklahoma?
I do. Okay. I am only licensed in Oklahoma right now.
Okay. So we got your phone number and your email there listed out there. So can you just go ahead and repeat what that is for our listening audience to get a hold of you?
It is Susan Yoder with American Pride Realty. And my phone number is 918-521-3165. And my email is susanyoder513@gmail.com.
So that's obviously awesome. Susan is a go-getter and a hustler. Yes. So if you want to do business in Oklahoma, if you need an auctioneer, she is going to be the best auctioneer. I can't wait. So just, again, thank you for being honest, just for, sharing your story, because that's not easy. So we so appreciate that. And I'm very proud of you. And I can't wait to see even more success come from what you do.
Oh, I am so excited. So yes, nobody sees me when I'm in my closet crying.
So do you have...
You inspire me.
Thank you. What one piece of advice would you give to our viewers and our listeners?
Don't be afraid to try. Don't take yourself so seriously. And if you're honest with, especially your people, if they ask you a question and you don't know, just tell them and say, listen, I don't know the answer to that question, but I will find out. And when they know that you are genuine and sincere, and take responsibility for your mistakes. I have already, when you're dealing with people and their properties and stuff, that's a high dollar investment. That's probably one of the closest things to their heart, except their kids, because it's money. And so for me, if I drop the ball and I cause a delay in a closing or something, I have several times had to say, you know what, I take responsibility for that. That was my fault. And it just diffuses the situation. You still have to deal with it. And trust me, it is not hard. It is not easy having those hard conversations, but it is very important to have them.
Hear, hear.
Yeah. Susan, thank you so much for being on our show today. You're amazing. You're very inspiring. And you're just a superwoman, like Super E.
I don't feel like a superwoman, but I try to.
Yeah, thanks for sharing all your experiences, because our audience benefits from it. Yeah, she is. She's Super E. Everyone knows her.
I know it. So. I'm flying in her pixie dust.
All right, we're about out of time for today. So Susan, again, thanks so much for being on. We're going to put your information in the show notes as well. So guys, reach out to Susan if you need anything, especially if you're in Oklahoma doing business. You definitely need to check out Susan, and even let her auctioneer your house. It sounds like she's going to be a great auctioneer too.
Yeah, it is. It's going to be great.
All right, everyone. I'm Justin Bogard with BrightPath Network.
You're welcome. And I'm Elizabeth with Elizabeth Maora.
Okay.
All right, guys. Until next time.
Bye.
Okay, bye.
The Two Wealth Show is produced by Justin Bogard and Super E, sponsored by BrightPath Notes and Elizabeth Maora. Thanks for listening and watching for our show.